Heidi-ho, this video is about how to take road trips. That's a thing that like every American dreams are about, right? That's the American dream, is to take road trips all the time. America, or the United States as I like to call it, because referring to a country as a continent is not a good idea, especially if you travel a lot. US is a great place for road trips. It is wonderful. We have a highway system that is unique in the world, which I didn't even realize until I went to China, and they're just starting to build theirs. And we also have a lot of great, really silly attractions, like a gigantic hedgehog on the side of the road, or it's a prairie dog actually, or a gigantic rubber band ball. I think that's in Ohio. There's some weird things along the roads in the US. And the highway system's been around for 50 years, so we've had plenty of time to build weird things. Anyway, if you want to go on a road trip, it's not as expensive as you imagine. I went on a 10,000-mile road trip, which sounds crazy, because it is, 2 or 3 years ago now. And both Ansley and I were surprised, my road trip partner, that if you split a road trip with someone, it ends up being strangely affordable. For one, we took a car that got 40 miles to the gallon. That helped. And then we just found the cheapest hotel in every town we stayed in, within reason. You know, if it's less than $40, you're gonna die. But between like 50 and 90 is the sweet spot. And if you're in a bigger city, between 110 and 160 is the sweet spot. Though you can very easily end up paying $100 every single night on your road trip if you're not careful. So avoid that. Those are the big things. Just swap off every other night with hotels, swap off every other gas tank, and then road trips are insanely affordable. The one I went on with Eric that was a week last month was like total of $500, counting hotels. It was a week, and that's traveling for a week. So that's crazy. And then the one I went on with Ansley was $1,500 per leg. $1,500 per like 5,000 miles. I honestly don't know how we did that way, but it turned out amazing. A lot of it was because her parks pass was already paid for, and we went through a ton of national parks, and then we found hotels ahead of time in small towns outside of national parks instead of staying in hotels in national parks. Don't do that. The drive into the park is usually insanely beautiful anyway, so you wouldn't want to cut that out of your trip by staying in the park, especially if you're trying to have a budget time. And most of all, just go. Like, plan and go. Because you can put off road trips for years. There is never a good time to go on a road trip. But if you fall into this, like, a moment where it's convenient and you might be able to go, do everything you can to make it happen. Because now is the best time to go on a road trip. Even if it's the winter, they're still really fun. Just maybe not through the mountains of Colorado, yeah? There are other places that don't get snow. Go there. Those are my thoughts on road trips. I've been on a few of them, and I was very lucky to be raised by someone who took me on a ton. I just didn't have to deal with the financial aspect of it back then, which was a true blessing that I only now can appreciate. But yeah, if you can, some of the finer points of road trips that don't involve finances, bring along a silly pamphlet that will tell you to find things along the side of the road. Those are extraordinarily fun. Share playlist duties. Don't have one person play music the whole way. It's a good way to learn about new music. And then also, make sure you talk to the person that you're driving with. I've made the mistake of going on road trips where I didn't talk to people, but I only made that mistake once. It's not fun. It usually just leads to like internal angst. And honestly, road trips are one of the few opportunities in life where, if you think about the percentage of time you spend with the people you love, it's broken down into really small chunks, and they're spread out over your entire life. Like, I've probably spent 90% of the one-on-one time that I will ever spend with my parents already. Even if they live for another 40 years, I'm only seeing them like every couple weekends now, as opposed to like all of my time that I was alive for the first 20 years of my life. So if I take a road trip with them now, that gives me another huge chunk of time in my life where I get to spend a majority of the day with my parents, around them, talking to them. And that's something that you don't get with friends, especially friends that you make later in life, like after college. So road trips give you a really incredible opportunity to get to know the people that you otherwise wouldn't get to know well, just because you're around them for a longer period of time that is like socially acceptable or standard unless you're married to them. So go on road trips with friends, because it is a great way to get to know people, and then talk to them, ask them questions, get to know them, have fun. and then probably also do sing-alongs. But that's optional. Those are my thoughts on road trips. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next video.